How's it going this week, everybody? So I'm going to be having Allison on this week, and she had a pretty interesting encounter that she wanted to share. We actually went back and forth quite a few times trying to figure out exactly what she saw, and it wound up being a really good conversation. Also, for those that want to check out our membership, you get access to episodes 2 weeks early. You can also look at our cool posters. We've got all kinds of VHS-inspired government cover-ups, Bigfoot, over on our website, challengetheunknown.com. Enjoy the show.
All right. So it was about, I want to say it was 2014, and it was about this time of year. It was where it was starting to get cool at night, but it was still warm in the daytime. And me and my ex, we'll just call him Jay, we were riding around on his bike, and, we'd ride around the back roads and go explore, abandoned buildings and stuff. And,
Fun.
just kind of what we did. It was fun. And so we were on our way back home one night, and it was probably about 11 o'clock, 11:30 maybe. It was getting late, and it was starting to get real cool out. So we're going along, and it's real dark out here. We're both from the area. It's real dark. There's not, you have the moon, you have stars when you can see them, but it's not, you don't have city lights or anything like that. So it's dark naturally. And we passed over this little bridge, and it was like an instant, like hitting a wall of darkness. And I can't, it almost crept up on you too. I can't really explain it, but it was like, it just boom. And it was like there was no moon anymore. There was no stars. And it was already dark. I mean, it's just the blackest black you could ever imagine. And you couldn't see anything. And we go to this intersection. It's a 4-way stop sign. And we stop at it, and he passes it, and then he stops so that, we were far enough away that if anybody made the turn, they weren't going to take us out. So I'm going to say maybe 50 feet. And he was fiddling around with putting gloves on, and I'm sitting there, and the taillights of the bike were shining, and they were reflecting off that stop sign. But that stop sign was the only thing you could see. And something passed in front of that stop sign, and it blocked out the whole thing. I mean, the pole, and those stops, they're like 8 feet tall. I mean, and it was a blacker shadow than everything else around it. And I got a feeling of just, like, oh, we got to go now. Like, something is seriously not right. It's bad. Bad. And we left, and driving out of it, it was just like an instant lifting. It was just, all of a sudden there was a moon again, and there were stars, and you could see the distant city, the city lights in the distance. And it wasn't like under this blanket of dark. I can't explain it.
You in a wooded area by any chance?
It's rural West Texas, so it's mesquite, cactus. There's some oak, some cedar trees. I mean, it's thick brush, but it's not big, tall trees, really.
Okay, interesting. So it's like, I'm actually in Phoenix, so it's more shrubland, kind of desert based.
Yes, it's a semi-arid climate.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's definitely certainly weird. I'm a little curious about it. So was it something physical, do you think, that walked in front of that stop sign, or do you think it was something else?
I'm really not sure. It felt like, I got a picture in my head, and it's going to sound crazy. I know it does, but I got a picture in my head of like a minotaur or a bull, but really big, like 15 feet tall. Like, this thing is, whatever it is, it's big. Otherworldly big. Not even like a person. Like, you've never seen a person that could be this big. It's crazy.
Yeah, to block out an 8-foot sign is certainly a very large whatever it is. It's definitely pushing boundaries there. So it makes me wonder. You're not in the area for Sasquatch. That's not something that there's a couple reports here and there. Down west, or southwest. But I mean, overall, Sasquatch isn't really something that you run into out here. You get a report or two in like the northern Arizona parts, but I mean, it's mostly up north is where all the reliable Sasquatch encounters come from. So, I don't think we'd be really looking at something like that. I think this would definitely be more of I really don't know, man. I mean, you're in an area where it sounds like something else, man. Maybe. Are you familiar with skinwalkers and stuff like that out in that area?
It's not an unheard of thing, but it's not really. When something happens, that's not the first thing that jumps to people's minds like it is other places.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, and I tried. Like I said, I'm from this area. This place I'm talking about isn't but maybe 12 miles from where I actually live. And I've been back there once on purpose and once by accident. And it's not the time I went on purpose. I was actively looking for it. It was in the daytime, of course, and I just kind of wanted to look around and see if maybe there was something. If the trees there were taller, or there's something that could have made the darkness, exaggerated. The natural darkness of the area, and I couldn't see anything. I mean, it looked about the same, but there wasn't a whole lot of wildlife in the area like there is, even 2 miles away from there. There wasn't any deer running around. There wasn't any rabbits or anything like that. All the things you would expect to see running around here in Texas. I mean,
last time I checked, also deer weren't 8 feet tall.
No, not at all.
Even standing up, that wouldn't fit your profile. That's nah, man. Like I really think about it. I really try and kind of see where the profile fits, and I'm just not hitting those keys. You're not in Sasquatch territory, really. You're not in. Outside of that's just the size. The pure size is what's really throwing me off. This thing's got to be 8 foot plus.
Yeah.
So, really
huge.
The only thing you could really be talking about is something skinwalker related. But at the same time, it's like, I consider the darkness kind of thing that you're talking about too. And the skinwalker stuff is real weird, dude. Like I've had some people on over the course of doing this that have had like real good skinwalker encounters. And I've had people that have come on that have like photographed these things, man. And it's freaky. Like it gets real freaky real quick, And honestly, that's the only thing I could think of is skinwalker, some type of like weird paranormal shit going on. But
whatever it was, did not like the thought of us being there.
But yeah,
I'm not happy about it.
Not a friendly feeling. I can imagine, especially in the middle of the night. I wouldn't be too comfortable in that situation personally.
I really wasn't. And like I said, the guy I was with, when I tapped him on the shoulder, like, "Hey, it's time," and he was like, "Yeah, I know. We're already, on our way out."
That's so interesting.
At that point, I was like, "Yeah, I'm not crazy." Like, and it was like a tangible, like it was thick. Like the darkness was thick. That's the best way I can describe it. It's thick.
Interesting. Did he see it too?
No, he was fiddling around with his gloves. He was facing forward, and I was looking back behind us, making sure, the boogeyman wasn't going to sneak up on us. And
you definitely saw the boogeyman, whatever it is.
Yeah, something was there. Just goes to show, I guess, don't actually look over your shoulder. You might not want to see what's there.
Right. So what do you think it was then? Or do you just not know? You just leave it open-ended on your end?
Like I said, the best thing I can think of, what popped in my head at the time was Minotaur. And obviously that's a crazy sort of, it's not an island in Greece. not. It's, I know that's not possible, but that's what I'm going with. That's the best thing that fits for me. Something with that sort of energy. Bull. It's like something with horns. Bull. I don't know. That's just what's popping in my head.
Maybe a Wendigo.
Ooh.
I don't hear about Wendigos too much. So there's a couple of these different folklore related things. So there's Skinwalker, there's Crawler, there's Wendigo. Now Crawlers and Skinwalkers are so the Crawlers are like this white emaciated humanoid looking thing. I've got a lot of people contact me about those things, and I've seen videos that people claim that are pretty reliable where I'm like, I don't think that's fake. Where I'm like, man, that thing's like, if you go to our Facebook page, I've got some clips up there that people have gotten, and it's freaky, dude. Like the emaciated white humanoid looking creatures that make these like ungodly screams, and they're like in a lot of wooded areas. Skinwalkers is like Native American related, and they're like these shapeshifters, can appear as like animals. There's one story I remember coming across a long time ago. It was this guy and his, I can't remember if it's his father or his grandfather, they went out hunting, which was like a normal thing for them, and they came across this deer that was like acting completely insane and started head bashing itself against a rock until like its skull and everything was shattered. And
gnarly.
Like there was like it caused so much damage to its head that parts of its head had fallen off onto the ground. It started to lick it up, stood up on both legs, and walked off into the forest.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's that story.
I wouldn't go back to that forest, I don't think.
Yeah, apparently.
I don't think I'd toy with that.
No, and that's like the whole Skinwalker related stuff is just these bizarre animal encounters. And
I mean, this thing I would say it seemed animalistic more than, I don't know, it seemed pretty humanoid too.
Well, that's the thing is Skinwalkers are shapeshifters, so they can appear as just about anything, mostly animals, but like they have this human quality to them, where like the deer that walks upright and stuff like that, or these weird crosses. Like the Wendigo is this. Are you familiar with the Wendigos, like related lore?
Isn't that where they wear the skin or something, like the skin wearers?
So let me make sure I get my stuff right real quick. Let me pull up Wendigo stuff. It's really interesting. Their depictions of them are like these. They're these deer-like creatures where they have like a deer skull as a head, or like a deer head with antlers, but they walk upright, and they're just
that sounds horrifying.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So details about the Wendigo, just so we're all on the same page here. I can load this up. Okay, so it's supposedly an evil spirit from a Native American tribe, and sightings are common in the east coast of Canada, Great Lakes region, in Wisconsin of the United States. So, but I hear about them all over the U.S., so I guess it's not really subject to that area. But depictions of them are like this humanoid, really screwed up deer thing. And people see them, people talk about them, especially up in Canada and stuff. So don't know what they are, and this, so no one really knows what these things are at the end of the day, whether they're an actual physical being or they're something else, I don't know. And a lot of people will say, whenever this kind of stuff comes up, oh, it's false memory, or you're just not,
not with this.
No, like,
No.
Too many people are seeing stuff, and it's always the same, It's like, tens of thousands of people aren't seeing the same thing and remembering stuff wrong. Like,
right.
I get you can write some stuff off as like someone was high or they were drunk, and maybe they maybe they saw a bear and just got a little freaked out, or they saw a deer stand upright to get some leaves or something. They got a little freaked out, but it all can't be that. You can't write every single one of them off. And it's like, I've talked to some of the most sound dudes, like the blue collar average American dudes. that are like, yeah, I didn't talk about this for 20 years because I thought people would think I'm insane, but I saw it, 2 other people saw it, you know, and they talk about it, and they're genuine people that are like, yeah, no, I know that this wasn't a bear, this wasn't a deer, you know, I looked at it for a solid 30 seconds, and, you know, I don't know, man. There's some weird stuff out there in the woods and in these areas. I don't know what it is. I really don't.
I don't know either. I mean, I'd like to know if other people in the area are familiar with it, but I mean, I don't want the ones that aren't. It's going to sound absolutely nuts. And hey, there's some sort of crazy 12-foot tall bull man living over here. Like, do y'all know anything about it?
Right.
You know, so I mean, I don't even know if that's what it is. Whatever it was a shadow, like a silhouette. I couldn't make out any features of it. It's just whatever popped in my head at the time was what I'm thinking it was. And, you know.
I was actually talking to a guy last week, and he was telling me about some kind of creature that he saw also where, you know, he couldn't see it exactly, but he knew what it was, kind of thing, where he could picture it in his mind, kind of thing. He described this humanoid, animal-headed creature, actually, and I can't remember where it was from. I wrote an article about it on our website, but it's people are seeing stuff, man, and people are, you know, encountering something, whether it's, you know, a Wendigo or if it's a skinwalker or what, you know, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, the reality of it is we don't fully understand what these things are. But I can tell you they ain't false memories, and people are seeing something.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know what I saw and felt. Like even if I didn't really see anything, I felt. I know I felt. But I mean, it was. I don't think it's a feeling I'll ever feel again. But if I ever did, I'd know it right away and know that it wasn't right. Something about it ain't right.
Yeah, no, nothing about this stuff is normal. It's definitely weird. And, you know, I always think about it is what if, are you familiar with Skinwalker Ranch and that whole story? All the weird shit that goes on out there? I think it's in
I've
Utah.
read some of it.
Yeah.
I try not to read too much because it's almost one of those things where, you know, I don't want to, I already have enough attention. I don't need any more, you know? So I try not to really even read about that one. I've heard that you're not supposed to, but
yeah,
I don't know. But it might just be one of those like folklore things.
Yeah, it's the social skinwalker thing. It's really interesting because I've actually had people pull out of my show because they get scared that things get worse whenever you talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, especially in like the skinwalker stuff. So, you know, I've had people that have come on with photos and stuff and said, "Look, this is what I saw," you know, and they describe it and everything, and it's great. It's great when they do because then I get, you know, people reaching out saying, "Yeah, I saw that too." You know, I've seen something like that, and then eventually I get somebody that agrees to come on, and you know, I have to sort through a lot of people, dude. Like it sucks because people will pull out last minute sometimes. I actually had a guy on earlier, he was supposed to come on earlier today and he pulled out, but it wasn't skinwalker related, you know, and on top of that, you got to sort through, you know, a lot of the problem is, let me go back a little bit. The problem is that whenever you get into this kind of like spooky related stuff, is people think you're nuts, you know. It's all because there's so many wackos associated with like the UFO phenomena, and people that are like, oh, you know, the government is, you know, reptile humanoids and they eat little kids, you know. There's so many of those associated with a lot of these encounters.
Right, yeah, people they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. You know, they don't want no part of it. Even when somebody's sane is telling them like, hey, I'm telling you, like, saw something.
Exactly.
You know, they mark you off as crazy too.
You know, you got to sort through the 99% of crap to find the 1% of it, you know, the 1% of people that have really seen something. It doesn't make sense. So that's the toughest part about doing this, honestly, is sorting through the people that are just, you know, that didn't really see something, trying to find those that have a really compelling story that are reliable, you know, and it's always good for people to go out there and talk about it, you know, even if they're not 100% sure, because that's the only way we're going to really figure this stuff out. So, that's why I run this show is to kind of encourage people to come on and talk about it, even if they're not sure about it, because if no one's talking about it and everyone's like, everyone's just crazy, then we're never going to figure out what the stuff is. And someone's seeing something, so.
Well, if you get anybody else that's seen or felt or anything of the sort, anything like what I described, I mean, I'd like to know.
I will tell you, 100%. Yeah, it's a lot of this stuff is really weird. I wish I had an explanation for you, but I don't know what you saw. I really don't. It's something where I struggle to categorize because yours is definitely different, and I mean that in a way where it's just you're in an area where what I would have first jumped to isn't common, and so the only thing I can think about is skinwalker related. But at the same time, when you describe like the darkness and stuff, it makes me wonder what else might be going on, whether or not it's some kind of something.
It's not I don't know. It's not anything I've ever experienced. And I mean, I don't think a lot of people would like go about their day-to-day lives just experiencing paranormal stuff. And I know I sure don't, but I do know I have lived in a house that had weird stuff happening. Just normal stuff, doors opening and stuff like that. But it's not that's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. It's not anything of the sort. Totally different altogether.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if this is demonic related. That's something that would fit the bill. This over oppressing darkness, something half animal with horns. That could fit like a demonic related profile. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I could see that working. That would fit it.
That would be kind of a weird place for one of them to be hanging out. I mean, yeah, I kind of thought that way too, but I mean, I thought they needed people, to leech onto.
Well, I mean, the whole demonic stuff is really interesting when you get into it, especially with like a lot of the early stuff, like where there's actually one from I think the 1500s that I've been looking into. It's in Latin, so it's a bit difficult to read, but they tried to categorize all these different like demonic entities and stuff, and it's really interesting to read. And I remember that like the more you go into it, whether or not let me back up a little bit again. So for something to be there, I guess that maybe there were practices out there. I mean, you were in a rural area, right?
Right.
I've had people come on and describe weird rituals and stuff in rural areas that people are practicing.
Yeah, that's true. If somebody's going to do something like that, it should be the place.
There we go. That might be our answer. So maybe there was a group of kids or some cult-related people that were going out there and playing around with something that they really shouldn't have been. And now in that area, there's something lurking around there, and that's what you just happened to come across. Well,
They sure did a damn good job of whatever it is they're trying to do, because
it's
something bad.
That would explain.
I'm not happy.
I think that's what we're dealing with here. I think if we really break it down, I think that's probably what we're dealing with, is someone was probably screwing around with something they shouldn't have been in a rural area. And sure enough, you came across something that wasn't human. And you saw it, whatever it was.
My goodness.
Well, I hope I didn't freak you out a little bit there. You might have been a little freaked out there, but
Well, I mean, it was a route that my mind had sort of taken at one point, but backed away from, because I hadn't thought that it was, I didn't really think that it fit. So I'm just kind of, I just said it's a new thought on it. Might change, it changes it a little bit, I guess.
Well, I mean, you kind of always knew that you were dealing with something that wasn't really right, So, I mean, it kind of was always going to go down that path when you kind of break it down. So, the reality of it is you saw something and that's the end of it, It's not like you have some kind of weird oppression going on, No, nothing like that. And I'm thinking back, and I'm like, I'm happy
whatever it was, didn't decide to just go ahead and come on home with us, you know. I think that's probably what I'm more freaked out about than anything else. Is I didn't just see the opportunity and decide to go, oh, hey, we're friends now.
Yeah, that's not an ideal situation for sure. So
unsatisfactory, yes, I would say.
But I think that really wraps it up for us, unless you got any questions for me. I think your story was fantastic, and I think it's going to bring some light to the topic, and I'm sure somebody else has seen something similar. I'm sure I'll get someone writing in about it. So